We are entering a defining decade. By 2030, three massive forces will converge, reshaping every institution, every economy, and every nation on Earth. The first, artificial intelligence, evolving from tools into cognitive infrastructure. The second, planetary energy, the race to power a hyper-digital world sustainably. And the third, geopolitical rebalancing, as nations compete for technological dominance. This is not speculation. This is a strategic blueprint for understanding the world of 2030. AI drives a $13 trillion global S-curve. We are exiting the learning phase of AI, years of massive investment, foundational research, and organizational experimentation. Now, the S-curve accelerates. Transitioning into the absorption phase means AI will become deeply embedded in how every business and government operates. And the economic output is staggering. Three forces drive this. First, the compute engine. By 2030, frontier AI models will require 1,000 times the computing power of today's largest systems, fueled by hundreds of billions in capital investment. Second, the economic output. The absorption phase is projected to contribute an additional $13 trillion to global economic activity. And third, the GDP boost. AI adoption alone is expected to add approximately 1.2% to global GDP every single year, navigating the triple transition. But this trajectory is not driven by software alone. The road to 2030 is a collision of three simultaneous transitions, each orbiting the others, creating both risk and opportunity. Transition 1, technological synthesis, compute scaling, algorithmic autonomy, and the biotechnology revolution converging. Transition 2, energy restructuring, the environmental paradox of powering hyperscale data centers while decarbonizing the planet. And Transition 3, geopolitical rebalancing, the rise of sovereign AI, the expansion of digital state capacity, and a widening global north-south divide. Navigate all three, and you unlock the 2030 synthesis. Fail to see their intersection, and the risks compound. The P6 of capability, 1000x cont spot scaling. Let us look more closely at the engine powering everything else, compute. AI progress does not happen in the abstract. It is driven by raw physical scale. And extrapolating current trends, the path to 2030 is highly predictable. Right now, Step 1. AI models are achieving breakthroughs on advanced reasoning and software engineering benchmarks. Training happens across baseline multi-data center infrastructure. By 2027, Step 2 models will solve hours-long, open-ended scientific and engineering problems. A capability leap that will transform research labs and tech teams worldwide. By 2030, Step 3, autonomous AI agents will function as virtual coworkers. Models will cost hundreds of billions of dollars to build, but will operate across every domain of work. Compute is the rate limiter, and whoever controls the compute controls the capability. The $868 billion healthcare revolution. One of the most transformative application of this AI scale is in healthcare and drug discovery. The traditional pharmaceutical pipeline is broken. A single drug takes 14.6 years and $2.6 billion to bring to market, constrained by slow trial and error target identification. Enter structure-based drug discovery, or SBDD, powered by generative AI. The pipeline transforms from a narrow, corroded pipe into a precision accelerator. The impact is measurable. By 2025, 30% of all new drugs will be discovered using AI-enabled workflows. Early-stage discovery timelines shrink from years to mere days. The total market opportunity? A projected $868 billion by 2030. This is not incremental improvement. This is a categorical reimagining of how medicine is made. Decoding the machinery of life. At the core of this healthcare revolution is a fundamental scientific breakthrough. The ability to understand and predict the machinery of life itself. For 50 years, the protein folding problem stumped biology's greatest minds. AI solved it. AlphaFold 3 now demonstrates a 76.4% accuracy rate in protein ligand docking, a 1.8 times improvement over physics-based methods. That means AI can now identify where a drug molecule binds to a protein with unprecedented precision. Virtual screening identifies therapeutic targets with a 60% hit rate, nearly 3 times better than the traditional 22% rate. And when you combine genomics, transcriptomics, and proteomics into multiomics data integration, you unlock a $3.92 billion precision medicine market, where diseases can be predicted before symptoms ever appear. The environmental paradox, its physical footprint, but AI's power comes with a profound responsibility and a paradox. AI is marketed as a digital clean efficiency tool. The reality is that its foundation is intensely physical. By 2030, training runs for frontier AI models will require gigawatts of power, approaching the electricity demand of entire cities. That is 1.2% to 4% of total global electricity demand. If power grids continue to rely on natural gas and coal, AI alone could drive up to 0.3% of global emissions, 124 million tons of CO2 equivalent annually. And the impact doesn't stop at carbon. Water-dependent cooling infrastructure is already straining local ecosystems from Northern Virginia to Singapore. Compute scarcity and localized grid saturation are not just environmental concerns. They are emerging risk vectors for every business and every climate strategy. The ultimate sustainability catalyst. Here is where the paradox resolves if we choose wisely. To offset its own carbon cost, AI must be deployed to solve the very energy grid it is straining. AI-powered smart grids can manage the intermittent nature of renewable energy, balancing solar and wind supply against real-time demand. This enables hyper-local climate modeling and unprecedented infrastructure efficiency. The decarbonization dividend is significant across 4 dimensions. Industrial optimization, AI-driven energy management improves industrial efficiency by over 5%. Design and emissions, reductions of over 20% in the design and energy sectors. Smart routing, optimizing transport and electric vehicles could avert 560 million tons of CO2. And the moonshot, achieving 24/7 carbon-free energy, as Google is already pursuing with its 8 gigawatt clean energy procurement. AI is both the problem and the solution. The question is whether we deploy it fast enough on the right side of the ledger. Algems as infrastructure, the sovereign AI race. As AI becomes as critical as roads and power lines, a new form of geopolitical competition is emerging. The race for sovereign AI. Nation-states are no longer just competing for trade or territory. They are competing for compute capacity, data corridors, and digital sovereignty. Cloud regions now hold the same strategic significance as shipping lanes. This competition operates at 4 levels, visualized as a pyramid. At the base, informational capacity, control over vast datasets and digital infrastructure. Above that, extractive capacity, securing advanced semiconductors and critical compute resources. Then, delivery capacity, deploying AI for public administration, predictive governance, and citizen services. And at the top, coercive capacity, integrating AI into military systems, cybersecurity, and technological deterrence. The nations that build all 4 layers will define the geopolitical order of 2030. Digital geopolitics and the fragmentation of contumist. This sovereign competition is fragmenting the global AI landscape into competing blocks. The United States and China together account for over 40% of global GDP and 48% of global manufacturing, dominating both compute infrastructure and data endowments. But governance is splitting. As nations mandate digital sovereignty, the world is fracturing into a complex matrix of US-China bipolarity, overlaid with regional technological powers. 2 dynamics are accelerating this fragmentation. First, regulatory divergence. The US, EU, and China are developing competing governance frameworks, creating compliance complexity for any organization operating globally. Second, technological autonomy. Nations are enacting export controls on advanced chips and investing heavily in domestic semiconductor capacity, making compute access a matter of national security. For business leaders, this is not a background risk. It is a core strategic variable. The next great divergence. Left unmanaged, the forces we have described will not lift all boats. They will create a new great divergence. The fault line is capability, and it runs through 3 dimensions. Economic output. Advanced AI economies like ASEAN nations could add over $1 trillion in GDP. Emerging markets risk falling permanently behind, trapped in what experts are calling post-colonial dependency, supplying raw data and minerals while acting as rule takers in a system they did not design. Digital readiness. Countries with high digital infrastructure investments, Singapore, EU, China, hold over 70% of AI patents. In contrast, women in South Asia are 40% less likely to own a smartphone, the basic gateway to the digital economy. Automation exposure. Jobs held by women are twice as exposed to automation. Youth employment is actively declining in sectors being disrupted by AI. The 2030 era will either be one of shared prosperity or entrenched inequality. That outcome depends on choices being made right now. 2030 scenarios mapping critical uncertainties. The destination is not fixed. The 2030 world will hinge on two critical uncertainties: the trajectory of autonomous AI capabilities and the degree of international cooperation. 4 scenarios emerge from this matrix. Scenario A: advanced AI on a knife edge. Capabilities accelerate rapidly, but safety research lags behind. An arms race dynamic takes hold, where speed trumps wisdom. High risk. Scenario B: AI empowers. AI capabilities advance and global cooperation keeps pace. AI becomes a public good, solving climate, health, and inequality at scale. The best case. Scenario C: AI disrupts the workforce. Deployment outpaces adaptation. Human labor is replaced faster than economies can retrain workers, driving structural unemployment and social instability. Scenario D: AI disappoints. Capability stalls due to compute bottlenecks and legacy IT barriers. The AI bubble bursts, and hype gives way to a decade of reckoning. The most likely outcome? A blend, with our choices determining which scenario dominates. The 2030 equilibrium. Here is the synthesis insight that ties everything together. Raw technological scale is completely bottlenecked by physical constraints and societal capacity. You cannot achieve the $868 billion biotech revolution without solving the gigawatt power drain of the data centers that run it. You cannot secure compute without navigating the sovereign export controls that now govern chip supply chains. 3 systems must be in equilibrium: technological capability, the AI models, algorithms, and infrastructure; energy and physical grid, the sustainable power systems that fuel them; and geopolitical readiness, the diplomatic, regulatory, and security frameworks that enable global deployment. Success in the next decade demands integrated planning. Leaders who treat digital innovation, climate exposure, and geopolitical supply chains as separate domains will be outcompeted by those who see them as one. The strategic blueprint for 2030. So, what does this mean for leaders, organizations, and policymakers? To navigate the epoch of computational synthesis, the strategy is clear. Centralize foundational capabilities while aggressively localizing deployment, respecting sovereign boundaries and infrastructural realities. 3 strategic pillars. Pillar 1: establish global AI governance. Standardize data management across fragmented regulatory regimes. Security is not a feature. It must be built into the foundation. Organizations that wait for regulation to arrive will already be behind. Pillar 2: build once, deploy many times. Create foundational AI capabilities and infrastructure that can scale efficiently, reducing redundant energy consumption and duplicated capital investment. Shared infrastructure is not a compromise. It is a competitive advantage. Pillar 3: adapt to regional contexts. The great divergence is real. Business models that work in Singapore will not translate directly to sub-Saharan Africa or rural South Asia. Local digital readiness, compute access, and sovereign frameworks must shape how AI is deployed, not the other way around. The epoch of computational synthesis is already underway. The question is not whether you will be affected. It is whether you will be ready.